Question 16. Question 16 says function f is an even function, which means the graph of y is equal to function of x is symmetric about the y-axis. So it's symmetric about the y-axis of the standard xy coordinate. The graph of y, let's say the graph of y equal fx passes through the point 6,51. Then full stop. Then the question says the graph must also pass through which point? Which of the following point? And it gave us option A, F is minus 6,51. Option G is 6, minus 51. Option H is 51, minus 6. And option J is 51,6. So again, let me read the question. Function f is an even function, which means that the graph of y function x is symmetrical about the y-axis of the standard xy coordinate plane. The graph of y fx passes through the point 6,51. The graph must also pass through which of the following points, and they gave us this option. This is a very simple question because they already gave us the answer, really. It says the graph of y passes through this point and is symmetrical about the y-axis. What this means is if it's your x-axis right here, this is your y-axis right here, they say it is symmetrical, which means that about the y-axis, which means like this. That means it's like that. If they say it is symmetrical about the y-axis, it's going to be like this, which means that your x point is going to be negative, but your y will still be positive. So which means that your x is going to be negative here, which means the only one that have x being negative is f. Your y is going to remain positive, which is 51. Now, if the question has said that it was symmetrical about the x-axis, then you're going to have something like this, right? If it's symmetrical about the x-axis, it's going to look like this, which means that you're going to have positive and positive, right? You're going to have a positive x and a negative y. That's what you're going to have. If it's symmetric about the x-axis, then your y is going to be negative. But since they say that they said it's symmetrical about the y-axis, we're going to have something like this, which means our x is going to be in the positive and in the negative zone, and our y is going to be in the positive zone. So 51 and minus 6 is going to be our answer. Question 17. Question 7 says tables of values for the two functions f and g are given. What is the value of g function 6? So they gave us function f and g, and they gave us the tables. So we have x, function fx right here, give us minus 7, 7, minus 4, minus 7, 2, 6, 6, 4. And then give us another table for x, function of gx, and we have minus 4, 6, 2, minus 2, 4, minus 6. Then we have 6, minus 7. And the question is, what is the value? What is the value of g function of 6? That's the question. And we have option A, minus 28. Option B, minus 6. Option C, 4. And option D, 7. So to solve this, let's do function of 6 first. So let's do f6, right? Which means that x, the function of 6 is when x equals 6, right? When x equals 6, because they said it's a function of this right here is fx, and this is gx. So when x is 6, the function of x is going to be 4. So that means when x equals 6, therefore function of x is going to be equal to 4, right? So when the function of x is equal to 4, so when x is equal to 6, the function of x is going to equal to 4. So now we now have f6 is 4. So here you're going to say g, instead of x6, we're going to put 4 right here, okay? So what is the function of when x is equal to 4? Here, when x is equal to 4, which is this, then gx is going to be 6. So for this function, when x is equal to 4, therefore g4 is going to be equal to what? Minus 6. So the answer is minus 6. And that is option B. Question 18 says that the value of x, it says the value of x is 3 times the value of y, is 3 times the value of y. So that's the first statement. The second statement says the value of z is 19 less than the value of x. And then next statement says the sum of x, y, and z is 37. What is the value of y? What is the value of y, right? And they give us option F, 9 over 2. Option G is 6. Option H is 8. And option J is 18. So let's quickly put this into equation. The value of x, they say is what? 3 times value of y. So x is 3y. Let's call this equation 1. This value of z, let's say z, they say is what? Is 19 less than the value of x. So that means that x minus 19. That's equation 2. Value of z is 19 less than the value of x. So that is x minus 19. And then equation 3 says that x plus y plus z is equal to 32. That's what it says. It's equal to 32. Sorry, 37. Equal to 37. So that's equation 3. So now you can solve for y. That's what they're asking for. The easiest way to do that is, first of all, anywhere you see y, put x inside of it. So let's do this one. So x is equal to 3y. So instead of x, I'm going to put 3y, which means instead of this x right here, it's going to be 3y. So I have 3y plus y plus z is equal to 37, right? And then that gives me 4y plus z is equal to 37. So I'm going to call this equation 4. I can do the same thing for this one. So z is equal to, instead of x, I'm going to put 3y plus minus 19. So now I can take like times. This one becomes, so that I have this one standing alone, I'm going to have that 3y, take this to that side, and bring this to this side. It's going to give me 3y minus z is equal to 19. So I have equation 5. Now I can easily solve for these two equations. So to do that, I have 4y plus z is equal to 37. And I have 3y minus z is equal to 19. So now I can add these two, this equation 4 and 5, I can add them together. If I add this together, 4y plus 3y is 7y, plus z minus z is 0, and then 37 plus 19 is 6. So 7 times 8 should give me 56. So this should be 7 here, 1, 756 is 8. So therefore, y is equal to 8. And that is option H. If you were asked to calculate what x is going to be, then all you have to do is, since x is 3 of y, that means your x is going to be 24. So if you were to find x is going to be 3y, and x is going to be 3 times 8, and that is 24. And since we know that 24, when now all three of them equals 37, it is easy to find z. So at that point, you're just going to say 24 plus 8 plus z is equal to 37. So that 24 plus 8 is 32, plus z equal to 37, and then z is going to be 37 minus 32, and that gives you 5. So that is how you can find all the numbers. But since they're only asking for y, you stop here, y is equal to 8, option H. Question 19 says, what is the sum of the two solutions of the equation? And they gave us y squared is equal to, so y squared minus 8y minus 84 is equal to 0. And your option A is minus 14. Option B is minus 6. Option C is 8. And option D is 14. So we're looking for the sum of the two solutions. So first of all, let's find the two solutions. The two solutions to this is we have y squared minus 8y minus 84 is equal to 0. So we're looking for two numbers that if we multiply them, will give us 84. And if we add them together, will give us minus 8. So two numbers, if multiplied, equal minus 84. And then two numbers, if added, equals minus 8. So I can easily come up with that number. The number here is going to be 14 and 6. So 14 times 6. 6 times 4 is 24, carry 2. 6 times 1 is 6 and 8. So 84. So 14 and 6 is that number. So you can say minus 14 times 6. This will give you minus 84. And minus 14 plus 6 will give you minus 8. So this is what satisfies what we're looking for. So now we can find the solution to this and say y squared, instead of writing this, will be minus 14y plus 6y, okay, minus 84 is equal to 0. So that's how you do it. So when you factorize this, you're going to have y minus 14. You're going to have y plus 6 equal to 0. That's what you're going to get. Okay? Y minus 14, y plus 6. That's what you're going to get when you do this equation out. So that becomes y minus 14 equal to 0, or y plus 6 equal to 0. Okay? So now you can find the factors so that y is equal to 14 plus 0, the first y, let me call it y1, or y2 is equal to y0 minus 6. So this one becomes 14, and this one becomes minus 6. So that is the two solutions. So they say, what is the sum of the two solutions? So the sum of these two numbers, sum of the two solutions is equal to 14 plus minus 6. So that becomes 14. If you expand this, minus 6, and 14 minus 6 is 8. So your answer is number 8, which is C. So that's one way you can get the solution. Another way you can get a solution is, which in this case is very, very, it's harder. You have minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a, right? So you can use this formula to get the equation also. If you want to go this route, it's going to be longer, but in the exam situation, you have short time, right? But if you want to go this route, your b is going to be this right here. Your a is going to be the number, the prefix here, which is 1, and your c is going to be this right here. So you're going to have minus, instead of b, you're going to have minus 8, okay, plus or minus. You now have minus 8 squared, because our b is minus 8, minus 4 times our a is 1, our c is 84, over 2 times 1. So in this case, you're going to have 8 plus or minus This becomes 64 minus, you have 4 times, you have minus 8 here. Don't forget there's minus there. So that 4 times minus 84, 4 times 4 is 16. You carry 1. 4 times 8 is 32. 32 plus 1 is 33. So you have 3, 3, 6. So you see how this can become difficult to do? Over 2, right? If you use this method. And sometimes this method might be beneficial if you have a calculator, right? But we're going to arrive at the same answer. So here you now have is equal to 8 plus or minus. You have square root of 64. Minus times minus is plus, so you have plus 336 over 2, right? So that this becomes 8 plus or minus square root of 64 plus 336. That gives you 0, 9, that gives you 400. I believe 336, 64, 0, 1, 0, 4. That gives you 400. So that you got 400 right here. That's what you have. So 400 divided by 2. So if you move this further, 400 is the same thing as, if I have 400, is the same thing as square root of, let's say, 40 times 10, right? And this one becomes 40. You can say this one becomes 4 times 10 times 10, right? So that this one becomes 4 is 2 square root of 4 times square root of 5 times square root of 2 times square root of 5 times square root of 2, right? So this one becomes 2. This square root becomes 5, right? This one becomes 2. So that 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20. So square root of 400 is 20. And it's right because that is 20 times 20, right? So that becomes 20. So I'm just trying to show you these so you know what to do. So that's 20. So eventually, this becomes 8 plus or minus 20 over 2. That's what you're going to get. So now you now have 8 plus 20 over 2, or 8 minus 20 over 2. 8 plus 20 is 28. So you have 28 over 2, or 8 minus 20 is 12. So you have minus 12 over 2. So 2 divided by 28 is 14. 2 divided by minus 12 is 6. So your solution is 14 and minus 6. So you still end up at what we came up with earlier, but it's the long way of solving that question. The easier way is one I showed you earlier. Look for the two numbers that when you multiply will give you minus 84, and when you add it together will give you minus 8, and you solve your answer just as quick as that. Question 20 says, let f be the function defined by fx is equal to 6 square of 7 over 2. And it says the domain of f is the set of all real numbers. The domain of f is the set of all real numbers. Which of the following set is the range of f? Which of the following set is the range of f? And here it says, option F says all integers. Option G, all rational numbers. Option H says all irrational numbers. And option J says all real numbers. So here, we say let f be the function of xx, fx equals 6 root of 7 to 2. If we simplify this, we get 2 in 6 is 3, so you have 3, 7. The domain of f is a set of all real numbers. Again, all real numbers. The domain of f is set of all real numbers. Which of the following set is the range of f? Again, it just told you the answer, all real numbers. The domain of f is a set of all real. So now the answer is going to be all real numbers. That is the answer. Question 21. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to 6x squared minus 96? And I give us option A is 6 bracket x minus 4 squared. Option B, 6x minus 16 and 6x. Option C, you have 6x plus 4. And you have x minus 4. And option D, 6x minus 4, x plus 4. So that is the question. First of all, let's figure out what this is. 6x squared minus 96. That's what we have. So we can rewrite this as 6x squared minus, we can write this as 6x squared minus 96. 96 is 6 and 96 will give us, we have 6 here, you have 1, 16. So you have 16 there. So you have 16 here. So we can actually write this as this, right? Because if you expand this, you still get this. And we can also rewrite this as 6. This is simply as 6x squared. 16 is 4 squared. So now we have difference of 2 squared. So we can actually write this as 6 bracket. Whenever you have in math, if you have a squared minus b squared, this becomes a minus b, a plus b. That's what this means. So we have the same thing here. X squared minus 4 squared becomes 6. Using the same rule here, we're going to have our a here is x, that is x minus, and our b is 4 in this case, x minus 4 bracket, and then you have x plus 4. So now you can actually rewrite this. This becomes 6 x minus 4 bracket x plus 4. And I think that is option D. Option D is the answer.